Welcome. Firstly, I would like to give a brief introduction of the speaker, and before that, I request Srimati Neera J, Chief Editor of National Book Trust India, to kindly felicitate our guests. Mr. Amitabh Naik, Mr. Balendra Sharma, Professor Arjun Ghosh, and Ms. Zahra Rizvi. Thank you, ma'am, for felicitating our guests. As we begin our session, I would quickly read the bios of our distinguished speakers here. Mr. Amitabh Nag, who is the CEO of Digital India's Bhashni division and holds the responsibility of spearheading the implementation of the National Language Translation Mission aimed at breaking language barriers. With an extensive career spanning more than 3 decades, he is a seasoned business leader with expertise in business management, sales and marketing, and project execution within the information technology sector. The second speaker we have Mr. Belendu Sharma. He is a nationally awarded senior technology professional, author, and speaker working to leverage digital technologies for social good. A technologist, marketer at work, and a social activist by heart. He leads the localization and accessibility charters of Microsoft India. He is a Microsoft spokesperson on Indian language technologies and a published author with National Book Trust. Third speaker, Professor Arjun Ghosh of Department of Humanities and Social Sciences and, Associated Faculty of the Educational Technology Services Center at India Institute of Technology, Delhi. He is the author of many books, including A History of the Jana Natya Manch, Place for the People. For the moderator of this session, we have Ms. Zara Rizvi. She is a PhD scholar at the Department of English, Jamia Millia Islamia, Delhi. She is a founding member of the Indian chapter of Digital Games Research Association. Her works have been published in several online and print journals. Ma'am, I request you to kindly start the session. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Hello and welcome everyone. I officially declare the panel open, and I think a great way to start the panel would be just for our guest speakers here to take the mic one by one and let us know some of the things that they're currently working on, just to acquaint the audience with the kind of background and source material that this panel is all about. Over to you, Mr. Nag.
Thank you. I work for an organization, as was stated earlier. It is Digital India Bhashni Division. This division is spearheading the National Language Translation Mission, and the mission is all about translating one language to another. So what we do is we enable the computer to understand the language which you speak. That means there's an automatic speech recognition. Then it also translates whatever is encoded in one language to other language in the computer, that is text to text translation or machine translation. And then text to speech, that means computer is able to speak out the language which is encoded in the computer uh, for this. We are focused on 22 Indian languages. For current, we do good on 12 languages as far as automatic speech is recognition is concerned. Text to text, we all do all 20, and text to speech, again, we do 12 languages. Plus, we also do optical character recognition, which is an age-old problem, but it is there on 22 languages right now. We do well on 14 languages, and of course, the other language, which is basically there of transliteration. These languages or this entire translation is based on artificial intelligence technology. The AI models have been created, and these are rendered through a world-class platform of National Hub of Language Technology as APIs for everyone to use. And we currently about looking at about 300 odd customers using these APIs, about 100,000 odd inferences happening every day. And we obviously have other things which we have developed, which I'll touch in due course of conversation.
Thank you so much for sharing your work with us. If you have questions, we'll take it right after all of our speakers have spoken about their current work. So over to you, Mr. Sharma.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I come from Microsoft, which is a platform company, and we must support every single user who is working on Windows or maybe cloud or using our browser or maybe support who may be coming from any language background. So considering that, what fundamental work we have done is that number one, we have ensured that the Unicode encoding is supported across Microsoft ecosystem. So that is the fundamental thing because without Unicode, nothing can be done. It's possible. That is the standard for local languages and world languages. Unless that is supported in an operating system, we cannot do search, we cannot do speech to text, we cannot do translations, etc. So number one, Unicode support, and we have a very robust support for Unicode right from the year 2000. Second is availability of different tools which enable people to work in their languages, like fonts. Number one, requirement. Number two, typing mechanisms, which we often call as keyboard layouts. So we provide keyboard layouts in all 22 Indian constitutionally recognized languages, and these are in different. They have different mechanisms also. For example, somebody might not be able to learn Hindi typing or learn Tamil typing or typing in any single language, any particular language. They can use an alternative way of working on a computer using a different keyboard layout. So in Hindi, you will find three, four different keyboard layouts, including inscript keyboard layout and then phonetic keyboard layout. In Tamil, you will get Tamil 99 keyboard layout and then inscript and phonetic keyboard layout, etc. Now, what these layouts and fonts are essentially doing here, and they have enabled all of us to express ourselves on the computer or in the digital world. Unless and until you have fonts and keyboard layouts which are supported across the ecosystem, you will not be able to express yourself. So that is number one. And once this is done, that sets the foundation for the future development. One important aspect is localization that we also focus on. What is localization? That means that primarily a software may be having English interface, but if a person living in maybe Betia or Kota or any other place or in Punjab somewhere, if they want to work on a Windows computer, they may not able to understand the English language, which is there in the user interface. So we translate that. We provide Windows in those languages also. By just two or three clicks, you can convert your Windows to have a total local language you can feel. It will appear in Hindi or Devanagari, it will appear in Tamil, it will appear in Bengali, etc. So that is localization. Similarly, localization for Office, localization for other applications also, that is another thing that we do. Beyond that, providing language utilities to people. So for example, when we work on a computer and we can spell check our English document without even thinking about that this is what is happening here in the background. But sometimes we think that is this facility available in Hindi or Tamil, Telugu, Punjabi, Bengali or not? So that is available, and that is our work number 4. That is to provide language utilities in these languages. We can also spell check in Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, and Bangla, etc. And the fifth pillar for our language ecosystem is that of artificial intelligence. So we can divide artificial intelligence in also in couple of categories. One is that the foundational or fundamental artificial intelligence, which means providing translation support, which is available on Bing search engine as well as Microsoft Word, Office, and other Office applications. PowerPoint, you can just translate a document, a PowerPoint presentation from one language to another, one Indian language to another. So that is, the basic use of artificial intelligence. But now every one of us is talking about the generative AI. And in generative AI, Microsoft has a robust support available for Indian languages because we have lost co-pilots, which are available not only for Windows, not only for Office, but also in search engine, also in Edge browser, etc. And that is able to give you, identical results like ChatGPT turbo version gives, right? So that is number four. That is number five. So I think that is the work that we do. And this is continuing. We are continuing to do a lot of research and development in these areas.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sharma. I think that has to be one of the best product placements for Microsoft ever. Um, Over to you, Professor.
Thank thank you, Zara. Unlike my other esteemed panelists, I am not a technologist. I am what you say an end user. I am a literature scholar. And what brings me to this space is the rapid development in the field where computational tools are getting adopted to answer little questions, larger questions of humanities, social science. And the way they are working is primarily through running various kinds of computational tools to databases and textual material. And that's where the challenge comes. Because in the want of enough material, uh, accessible, readable material in the languages, uh, we wanted to develop computational tools, which is also known as the humanities. We would end up relying and bringing to our class, restricting our classrooms to English language resources. And that would set us back by about 3 or 4 decades, where we um, have spent a lot of time trying to decolonize the language, right? So it is very important that we actually move pace with time with the Indian languages. And as a result of that, with an eye towards at IIT Delhi, me and my colleague Mr. Chetan Bora from Enterprise, we started a project where we wanted to develop state-of-the-art and highly accurate uh, UCR for various Indian languages. And our approach towards this was to actually desegregate language from script. That is, the same language can be written in multiple scripts, right? And therefore, because what it does is it allows us to enlarge. Any case, Indian languages are very low resource languages. And let us say that there is a language like Hindi where a large amount of legacy data is actually written in Nastali. And now mostly the material that is produced in India is in Agri script. Fully combine these two to help develop the language abilities. So therefore, there are other languages, which, for example, poems can be written in two scripts. One is Kannada, and other is possibly Marathi script. And so that's the kind of challenges that we are looking at. And at present, I think we are moving towards we are currently in the beta version of a tool called Lipikar, where the user, mostly humanities scholars, they cannot run command line interface. It's very difficult. So we have a plug and play browser-based tool where someone can upload an image or an image PDF of a scanned book and then get the OCR results on screen. And that OCR result is editable, which means you can actually improve upon probably the quality of your search, which is already pretty highly accurate. And hopefully then scholars will be able to create their own corpus and run natural language processing tools to answer several questions in literature and the humanities. Uh, for example, work with named entity recognition and spirometry and these kind of tools and visualize the data. So, and also it's very important also for search and discovery. Right? Let's not forget about it. I mean, a large amount of the lot of anybody, any scholar who is doing research today would be looking at deep search. Whereas in the Indian languages, mostly if you are looking for something, you have to rely on metadata. You cannot do deep search. So it's very important from our point of view that we actually enhance and from a very word go keep an eye on the low resource languages and only look at the low hanging fruits, right? So that's the kind of work that we are doing at IIT Delhi on the technology front. My own work has other ramifications, which I can talk about.
Thank you so much. So, as I see right now, there are a lot of common themes that our speakers are working on. Just to summarize, translation, localization, and digital humanities and indigenous languages. The commonality that comes to my mind to begin with is accessibility. And I would like to ask our speakers here how much are conversations that are happening in the industry and in the universities accessible to each other, firstly, and also to citizen scholars? Because I think at the end of the day, our end users are not just researchers inside the university, but also those outside the university. These are areas where funding is still very competent. And I was wondering, of the three speakers here, how would you have a conversation with each other using your spaces as spaces where privileges can be dispensed?
See, one of the most important things which we have to realize is when we talk about the last person on the queue, you would typically see that there is a challenge of digital divide and there is a challenge of literacy. You know, you, he might be on the other side of the line of literacy, and what most of us sitting over here. And in that event, one of the most important thing becomes the medium of communication, and most of the time the medium of communication is us. When you're looking at inclusivity, accessibility, or empowerment, or collaboration, voice becomes very important. And if, for argument's sake, I'm able to speak in my language, and you are able to converse in your language, and I still, both of us are still able to do the job which we are supposed to do in day-to-day life, we are perhaps truly achieving something well. And that's the area, or that's the idea of what we are trying to do. And that is the idea, which I think that would solve most of the questions which we have. At Bashini, what we have tried to do is to implement some of these things. We today do a voice-based bank with payment system. That means you can call a number, say that this much amount needs to be transferred to X phone number, and then we will be able to transfer them after the PIN is entered. So it just requires the intervention of numerical knowledge. The rest of the entire thing is done by voice. We also have implemented a system for farmers about PM KIS Prime Minister transfers tranche of money every 3 months, every 4 months to the farmers through direct benefit transfer. And what we do is that we, you know, give created a chatbot which is actually giving a facility to the farmers to ask from the on the chatbot itself कि भुगतान नहीं हुआ या भुगतान नहीं मिला, any of those grievances which he has, and the chatbot will again answer back on voice saying कि आपका भूमि पंजीकृत नहीं था या आधार से आपका bank account link nahi or something like that. Now imagine 11 crore farmers. If you have even 1% people not getting it, you have about 1 crore people not getting it, and that is the transaction levels that we are trying to solve. We again going on to similar use cases about farmers only. If they need, UP has launched similar chatbot, but that gives you the information about the farm. Of recently, we launched a product called Nyay Setu with Department of Justice. We all, are as a common people or even the people at the start of society where we are talking about, most of them, are busy with their work. They don't get into a legal challenge most of the time. But if they get into, they do not know what to do. So there again, we have provided a chatbot, which where you converse through the voice and get the preliminary legal support which is required on voice. So those are some of the use cases which we are trying to take up, and taking it forward to see that people are able to do the things or at least address the things which we believe that should be done. We recently have also launched grant challenge for open for students and startups, where we are trying to do many things. One is that as I'm speaking, can you transcribe it? That means you put it down on a piece of paper and say that this is what I have spoken. So, uh, second is that can I have the mobile number in one language, which is spoke to my language, and other person has another language set up in his mobile, and when I talk to him, like both of us are talking in our own languages. So these are some of the solutions which we are trying to come out in the market to improve the accessibility. Another solution which we are looking at is a document which if it is OCR, then if I apply text to speech conversion, I can translate the document. The document can be a speaking document. It's like an audio book. Some of these are available in English, but we are wanting to do it in all 22 languages. These are the grand challenges which are open to students, startups to, bid for it, look for it, and provide solutions. So I think we are on a journey to provide accessibility, and those are those will be in the market very soon.
Thank you so much for sharing those examples. We are, of course, very aware of your work, but it is so fascinating to hear what goes on behind the scenes and the motivations of these user-centric tech projects. Would you like to add something, Mr. Verma?
Sure. So, what Mr. Nag has already described, I would try to add something or some perspective from our standpoint. I think accessibility can be divided into three different scenarios from our perspective. One is whether these technologies are reaching people or not. That is one aspect. Second is even those people who are at the distant end of development curve, whether it is reaching to them or not. Because generally, if you remember, nowadays what we believe is that the growth for internet and technology will come from three V's, in fact four V's. One is village, another is vernacular, then third is virtual, and then video. These four things are quite important in today's technology ecosystem. So are we providing these facilities which can cover all of these four different uh, domains or not? That is one question. Secondly, you know, Mr. Nag also said that there are digital literacy issues as well as some other issues, and digital divide issues are also there, which is true, which is true for our country. Couple of more things we can add here. For example, even the PC penetration that might be very limited in our country. And similarly, issues like unavailability of power in rural areas that might not be available. So even if somebody has a PC and there is no power available, how can we, possible that the person can use the cutting edge technology? But then there is a solution to this problem in the shape of this small device which is in our hands. So this, to some extent, it can help us deal with the issues of digital divide because almost 1 billion people in India have this mobile device. And this is almost like a small computer for every one of us. If we can provide these things and these facilities in this mobile phone, and then even a common person living at the distant end of the development curve can be able to use these technologies. And that is what we are doing. So apart from making sure that all our products, which are used by everyone every day, they have some flavor of this technology, the cutting edge technology, which is artificial intelligence and generative AI. We also, launch applications for mobile phones. For example, our applications are available on Android as well as iPhone, and anybody can just download and start using them. So, for example, Microsoft Translator, you can use it to translate from one language to another. It could be text or it could be speech. It can translate both. Similarly, you can download some other applications like Office Lens, which can scan a document and convert that text into typed text. That is another application which is available on mobile. And there is Seeing AI, which can describe your environment around you better. So mobile is a very important, target for apart from PC. Okay, so that is one thing. Second is that how can we make sure that every single person who is using a PC can take advantage of artificial intelligence? So what we do is that artificial intelligence is available in Windows. If you want to use dictation, you don't need to download any application. You don't need to go to the internet to any particular website. Just start working on a Windows. Press Control, press Windows plus H, which will open a very small window. Click on the microphone icon and start speaking. You will be able to dictate to the computer and it will be able to transcribe what you are saying. So how to not only develop technology but how to take it to the people in a very easy, convenient way that they can take advantage of it. That is also very important. Now, for example, you are using Microsoft Office products. Most of these technologies are now part of Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel, etc. You can translate your documents inside Word itself. You can use speech inside Word itself. Word will also read out loud your documents in local languages. So we support 21 local languages in translation and nine local languages in speech. And all of this is part of the products that we use on an everyday basis. So that is accessibility for us. Everybody should be able to access it. But there are two more dimensions to it. One is that are developers able to use these technologies to further develop their own applications? So we provide these, APIs for generative AI, for artificial intelligence in the form of Azure Cognitive Services. Any developer who is developing any application, and if they want to add the functionalities of AI to their application, they just need to go to Azure and use an API which will immediately add that functionality to that application. That's another way of making it accessible, making technology accessible. Because through them, so many other people will be benefited. Third dimension is that of people with disability. Whether these technologies are making any impact on their lives or not, that is real accessibility. And we believe that yes, our products they are helping people with disabilities. For example, an application called Seeing AI that I just mentioned earlier also, that can be downloaded by a blind person, and then it will work as a digital assistant for that person. It will identify where that person is. It will identify people. It will identify products. It will identify currency notes, colors, so many other things. So the person who is blind, who cannot see, will be able to see through this application. Now, because of this artificial intelligence, lots of developments are taking place in accessibility technology also. All of us know that some decades back, the people with blindness, they use that stick or cane, right? But then came braille computers and braille printers, etc. That was another age of technology, advanced technology. But now they even don't need that because computer can speak out to you, and you can speak out to the computer. In Windows, we have recently launched a feature called Voice Access, and you just tell your Windows computer that open Microsoft Word. It will open Microsoft Word. You say type this, automatically that will get typed. Then you say save this file. You are only saying, and the computer is following your commands. So that is accessibility. Now you can imagine that why will that person now need braille computer or braille printer or braille keyboard? They will not need because they can directly talk to the computer now. So that is the advanced level of digital in accessibility space also. Another example I would give you, we generally see that people with hearing disability, people with deafness, they use sign language. But now thanks to this advancement in artificial intelligence, they might not need that also. Why do I say that? Because if they can, if they can hear, they can read text. Any video which is being played, automatically captions can be read and they can read it. If any meeting is happening with Microsoft Teams or from other applications, also whatever is being said can be read in automatically generated captions. So you don't need writing it now anymore. Although it will be required for people who are still disconnected from this reality, but technology is making great progress to even help people with disability, and that, in my opinion, is real good work that is being done by these accessible technologies.
Thank you so much. It's really nice to see connections coming up between us speakers as well. Transcription is one of them, and text to speech technologies. I really like the point you made about mobile centric tech for South Asia. In the kind of research that I do with video games for pedagogy and healthcare, we've come to the same conclusion as well, that mobiles can be the best way to dispense tech in South Asian scenarios. But of course, I would love to hear what Professor Ghosh has to say about this.
Yeah, I mean, on the question of access, of course, we must remember that there's still about 30% Indians who do not have access to phones, smartphones as such. So that's a challenge, but of course, hopefully that gets mitigated over the next few years. But in terms of language use in India, India is in the global context, I would say the most linguistically diverse country in the world. If you look at the larger Indian subcontinent, uh, with this kind of population, there might be some other countries like New Guinea and others which might have per capita number of languages much higher. But in terms of the total number of speakers for each language, it might be. But constitutionally, we reduce it down to 22 languages. That does not mean that there are 22 languages in India. There are some 200 languages in 1,000. Right? Now, I would like to take you back a little bit in history as to how did we arrive at these 22 languages. That is, that was another moment of technological intervention in Indian history, where print entered the Indian subsystem through colonialism. Before that, people would travel and they would understand each other almost seamlessly throughout the country, and words would sort of get borrowed from one language to another, and you have a larger lingua franca. But print by its very nature, you understand, has a certain stability. You have a font, and that's capital intensive, and print cannot develop it. So where whoever develops it controls what language gets written in, and that leads certain dominant languages. For example, my own mother tongue, Bangla, sort of created this basic binary between Sadhu and Chalit Bhasha. But of course, there are many Banglas. There are certain varieties of Banglas which I cannot understand, right? But they are legitimate languages of their own. My question is now, when we are shifting to a new technology, and this is a digital technology where you do not have the fixities of print, do we restrict ourselves to 22 languages or the definition of 22 languages? When we develop a platform based on large language models, do we ensure that the peasant speaks in their actual mother tongue, or they have to standardize their language to approximate one of the 22 languages? So when you talk about the question of access, we have to talk about these languages as well. And I think that is where our challenge lies, is because these large language models, generative models, they rely on data sets. Low resource languages do not have those data sets. So it is very important that we create those data sets and build in the language models. Otherwise, this distortion is going to get carried forward, and then accessibility will become reduced to those 22 languages, and those who cannot now converse or read or write in school in their own mother tongues, but have to approximate in these 22 languages, that system will continue. So I would like to talk about that access. The other point that I want to talk about is that language and script. These are, in a sense, these are softwares, right? And that's how we human beings communicate with each other. Where did we get language from? There was no private entity that created language. Language was created in the interhuman space, in conversation between human beings. Nobody owns the language. So when we are developing language tools for the larger national good, we should ensure that the know-how of these tools are accessible. That is, they are written through accessible licenses. They are open licenses, open APIs, so that development can seamlessly continue and we can, every scholar, every innovator can contribute to the national good and it should not go behind a veil. These are two questions of access that I would like to ask.
Excellent questions, both of them. And I was wondering if our other speakers would like to add something to the questions raised here.
Yeah, these few questions, which of course Professor raised, and that is primarily what we should be doing as a mission. So there are a few things which we are doing as the mission. One is that it is 22 Indian languages. Of course, as he pointed out, there are about 100 languages in India, which is spoken by more than 100,000 people. So those are 100,000 is a pretty large number, and those are also legitimate languages. There are languages which have, not been taken forward, in the real sense because of the fact that there was no speaker around. So they are gone in oblivion, but we have to bring them back now because we know that there is a possibility of that. Out of the 20, but the challenge, that problem is a very large problem. We have to solve it right now. Among the 22 languages which we have approximately 6 languages where almost digital data is nil. And rest of the six have very low digital data. Only 7 languages have digital data which can be good enough for training of AI models. So how did we approach this? We approached this by creating digital data. We have about 200 translators on the field. We have spent about, government has spent about $7 million on the field to create data sets for these lower source languages. Will it stop here? I don't think, because we need more investment. So that's one part of it which is there, which is now past with many of our associates. We are working to create more digital data from more districts so that we are able to capture the dialects. My Bengali versus his Bengali, both of us are having the same language background. The other part of the thing is that the second question was very important. But language is not owned by anyone, right? And whatever we have created till now, as far as models, data sets, etc., is concerned, all has been open source. So there are people who can use it, and it can be downloaded, and hence it automatically increases proliferation of technology, further tuning of models. People have picked up the model to tune it to the farmer language, tune it to the other language. The other important initiative which we run is Bhasha Gram. We are requesting citizens, common citizens of India, to come to the portal and put across whatever they know about the language, so that we can use it as a data set to train them. We also, are using our Bhashni app. Bhashni app is an app which can be downloaded from the App Store and Play Store, where we are having the features of text-to-text translation. Conversions, I can basically press the mic speak, and then you can press the mic speak in two different languages. The one which we were talking about, I have two separate phones is available on a single phone. We can translate a web page out of the same app. We can put across and take a photograph of a scene and then translate it so that it is, and then seek feedback from the customers to use it again as a data set. So as I said, there are possibilities and other possibilities which are around. But the focus today, of course, is that let's focus on each one of them. When I get up in the morning, I do it, and if I do X, then can I do it or not? Yes, then it's good. If I don't, then I have to step back. When the children go to school, are they able to learn in the mother tongue? Yes. Now, are they able to learn in the mother tongue? Is the teacher able to teach? We have multilingual classrooms so that we again do not restrict ourselves to be teacher being from one particular area and students being from the then we are again inculcating the same regionalism which we are wanting that. All of these are points of interventions. If a person wants to, like a person who doesn't know how to read and write and speaks X language X, can he or she lodge an FIR without assistance? Are the questions which we need to answer. And those are things which we should be basically focusing, we are focusing on this particular.
Thank you so much for such an enlightening answer. I believe Mr. Sharma has a few points to make as well.
Definitely. So first of all, what Bhashini is doing, everybody is talking about that is talk of the world nowadays. And great work is being done by Bhashini under the leadership of Mr. Raj. And we all Indians are proud of that work. I would mention one old lady named Goa Sar. She was from Andaman. And during last decade, she died. And when she died, actually one language also died because she was the last person to speak that particular language that she was speaking. Now that situation is so many other languages also, and you rightly said that we have to preserve these languages. We also have to document these languages. We have to make sure that people are able to still use these languages in the digital ecosystem. And Microsoft, we are also working in this for this particular objective. And for example, we are working with Bodo, Gondi, Santhali, Idu Mishmi, etc. languages. Idu Mishmi is from Arunachal Pradesh. And what we are doing is that we are trying to preserve the knowledge in these languages. Number one. Number two, we are trying to create ways to document these, not only in oral way but also in text way, so creating charts, etc. in this language. We are also trying to encourage people from these language speaking communities to create portals or websites where they can document this knowledge. They can also add this kind of a knowledge, etc. So that work is also being done by Microsoft. And we believe that this after the arrival of artificial intelligence, especially generative AI, this work, I think this task can be handled. 10 years back, 10 years back, we would have thought that many of our languages are going to die if we are not giving proper attention to them. But now we are in a position that if we can take advantage of these advanced technologies, we should be able to preserve our languages. And we should not forget the UNESCO warning that by the end of this century, uh, 3,600 out of 7,200 languages spoken across the world are going to die. But I think technology, especially artificial intelligence, can help us preserve these languages. That is what I see. One thing I would like to mention is that how technology is empowering the person at the lowest strata of the society. We need to look at that also. Artificial intelligence, though it appears very advanced or futuristic concept, but it can play a great role in empowering a person in the village is very somebody coming from a very ordinary background, somebody who is not able to understand English language. Still, artificial intelligence can help that person or that student to be able to maybe learn better and to communicate with others also. The reason is, just imagine a scenario that there is a person who's coming from a village, a student actually, and he is reading in a particular class. He is not able to understand English language. Now, using artificial intelligence in the Bhashini app or our application, that child can just scan the book and it will be translated in the language that he understands. So, if he doesn't understand English language, he can understand the content in his own language. Another thing could be that even the chat tools or even the teachers who are speaking in English language, maybe some other language, and the person, the child is not able to understand that also. So captions can be generated now if he's using a mobile phone or a laptop. He can just use live captions there. Although we need to create awareness about that, which is a very important thing. But things are available. These technologies are available to enable people to come from local language background to be still able to learn, compete, etc. Finally, if they are not able to understand the context, generative AI is there, Chat GPT is there, Microsoft pilots are there to explain it to them. If something is available, some content is available in English language, it can summarize that in Hindi or Punjabi or Bangla, or maybe it can also explain to that person in the language that the person knows. So, although right now we are not visualizing these kind of scenarios, but you just look at the possibilities, the immense possibilities that these technologies hold for even the common citizen of India.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this discussion and how it's enabling us to understand the affordances of digital technologies. And I believe we have Professor Ghosh to thank for that, for starting off the conversation. I do know that we are coming very close to the end of time. So if the coordinators can just tell me, would they like for there to be a couple of questions from the audience? Or if we're really low on time, we can stop. We can have a few questions. All right, if you have a question, please raise your hand and I'll make sure that the mic gets to you. So I see one hand there.
Hi, thank you so much to our panelists and the moderator as well for conducting such a lively discussion. My question is to Mr. Sharma. You talked about access and how the systems and everything should reach the people in the remotest of areas. Now, just to play devil's advocate here, Microsoft systems are very costly, and it is a major deterrent for individuals. I'm not talking about people who work under institutions to afford those systems, especially even the home versions, let alone the professional versions. So, as a part of corporate social responsibility, what is Microsoft doing to ensure low cost access to these softwares and platforms?
Uh, to answer your question, I would say that number one, Microsoft is the largest contributor to the open source community across the world. Microsoft is the largest. Number two, our flagship products are also available to you free of cost. How do how can you access that? You can use the web versions of all of these applications, and they have these artificial intelligence enabled features in them. For example, you just go to office.com, create your account, start using Microsoft Word inside your browser. It will have the language support, it will have the speech support, it will have the translation support for free. Similarly, you can use Microsoft PowerPoint inside a browser again for free. So all of these flagship products are also available in another version, web version for free. I would say that maybe you can also explore that possibility.
Thank you so much for your question. I see that there is another question here in the audience. Please pass the mic.
I just want to know, they say that the taste is in the pudding window. So I just want to know, I'm from Maharashtra and I'm government papers coming to me. And then there's a debate. When I write back to them, they say, नहीं यार आप मराठी में लिख के ये हमारा यहाँ का लैंग्वेज है हालांकि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने ऑर्डर दिया है कि ये इंग्लिश में एक्सेप्टेबल होना चाहिए. I'm just asking you, as a layman, I decide I receive a letter from the government. And I'm in my house, my resource is my phone, and there's a PC available to me, and then there's a communication data center or whatever you want to call it, where there's a laptop or some trained people available to do that. How do I go about it? Is it just I have that data and I give it, I mean I show it somewhere and it gets translated into that other language, and then I have my English, my answers written in English, and then I just put it there and then I just get it translated. How do we
Yeah.
go about it? Just make it little simple
So,
about it to understand
so
it.
I
The
think
minimum cost.
yeah. So what you should do is that number one, on your mobile, download HD. Okay. It will help you to translate offhand text with them. There is when you go to the website, there is a tool available called Anurag. again, you put a text on one language, it will translate to the text on another language, and you can also hear the text out by converting text to speech. Of next few days, we would be coming out with features which will be available to you, where you can input the document in a scanned format, and it will get translated to the other format. Of course, due to the load in the system, it would allow a limited number of documents to be translated, but this will be available to you from that aspect. You can also pick up a small video and translate it. The version of the higher end version of the entire thing would we would see how do we put it on a public domain. But the part of the thing is that if these tools are, currently what we have assumed, and that is the problem with us because at some point in time we will told that you need to learn another language to succeed, right? And hence we don't question all these practices. But it is now, as far as we are concerned, we are talking about these 22 languages. And if there are more, we will figure out how to address that. But these facilities should be available to common man, and as you said, at a minimum of cost. We, you know, similar to what you have talked about, we work with Reserve Bank Innovation Hub to develop an application for farmers. The farmers get Kisan credit, money against their land records. The land records are in vernacular languages, right? And the banks understand Hindi or English to give a loan. Now, it was up to the owners for the farmers to actually get their land records translated and give it to the bank. With the system which has been developed now, the land records are picked up from the state government and transliterated into the other language, and that is available to the bank. So theoretically, the thing which used to take 2 to 3 months because the Zwan had to take the documents, go to the translator, get it translated, go to the bank, the person is available, not available, all of this theoretically. A loan can now be given in a day's time to the farmers. So my submission here is to demand, what you require, and perhaps, sooner or later those services will be available.
If I can add to Mr. Nag's response, if the letter is in digital format, like an email or any PDF document, in digital format, you just open this in Microsoft Word. Go to Review tab, click on Translate. It will be translated there itself. After that, if you want to respond to it in Marathi language, for example, if you know Marathi, just click on the dictation button in Word again. Choose Marathi language, start speaking in Marathi. It will be transcribed in Word itself. No other application will be required. Or if you want to maybe respond to an email, do the same thing in Outlook. It will be done. So that is number one. Number two, if you don't know Marathi language, speak in English language. It will be transcribed. Click on again translate button. It will be translated into Marathi. So you don't need to do any single thing, nothing to be downloaded. Just go to Microsoft Word. But there is one thing important prerequisite is that you should have the latest versions, right? But as my friend has just asked, if we don't have that, then what? Just go to office.com. Please create your account, and you will get access to all of these applications for free. Let's just open that document in Word online, translate it there, respond to it, translate it, send it back. It's that easy, it's seamless. Then you have to scan it. Then you can take advantage of your mobile phone, just scan it, you get converted into text, and then you can translate it.
See, the point which you talked about scanning, the scanning is basically scanning actually scans it as a picture. You still need to convert it as a text where the optical character information is there. But those tools are also available. So my point is that look for those tools which are available and make it happen. After
further, looking at how do we do it, because technology is advanced today. The other part which you have to be careful about, and where we are spending time and a lot of time as such, is in, these are AI-driven models, most of them, and the translation is perfect or a near perfect as you talk about, or still would have some deficiencies. So these will improve over a period of time, but that caveat always is there that there is a machine translator activity. And there would be chances of certain things going wrong. So you need to be careful.
Thank you so much for the question and for the answers. Mr. Ghosh, if you want to jump in at any point in time, let me know.
Just wanted to make one point that point that I made earlier, just back to it again, is that this what we are witnessing right now is a major technology shift. Technology shift that the world is seeing for after about 700 years since the birth of print. And what print had created these unified, standardized languages that can will change definitely. Question is how soon and how late. And therefore, I would like to contend that a strategy like translation is more something that comes out of print technology. Because print technologies require you to move from one language to another. But if you have to go back to pre-print uh, modes of communication, largely oral and performative, then you do not move from one language to another. You keep talking in both languages. US pattern, there's a lot of code switching that happens. So I would like to see more of inclusion of these kind of technologies where we do not strive to preserving the purity of languages in a certain way. If I am getting it translated into a certain language, only certain words or vocabulary will it should allow for a more dynamic sort of code switching, and that's how we talk. I mean, I'm talking English here, but if we were to get off the stage and just have a conversation, we'd probably be talking two, three different languages together in a single sentence, and that's what creates a very strong culture. Historically, if you look at it, the superpowers of the world over the last 2 millennia, superpowers of the world in the last 2 millennia were civilizations which were diverse, which celebrated diversity, which brought in, which were multi-ethnic. And we need to preserve that through an interaction between the rich linguistic traditions of the world. And therefore, we need to have more interactive interaction between the languages, not just moving from one language to another.
Right, quite right, and I think I just translation is something which is we are doing away since of past, right? We had we had created a lot of content in one language, assuming certain things, and now we are translating it to other content or whatever it is. But what he said is right. If we are able to freely interact with each other in the way we are, I would take a step further, the way we are, then perhaps we are freeing ourselves for innovation, collaboration, discovery, education, a lot of things which we are today burdened of for sake of language. So this is important for all of us to understand and take things forward in that direction.
Thank you so much. I think that was a very fitting conclusion to some of the main points of the conversation that we're having. In digital humanities, we love to talk about terms like khichdi and jugaad, and I think this conversation is veering towards that, and I love the idea that we have decided to carry on collaborative efforts through this panel. With this, I think due to time constraints, we need to close the session formally. Thank you so much, Mr. Nath, Mr. Sharma, and Professor Ghosh for a wonderful panel discussion today, and to the organizers for having this. Thank you so much.
मुझे भी यही लग रहा है भाई।